My name is Abol Froushan. Today, I'd like to invite you into a kind of dialogue between poetry and computation, ontology and AI. As both a poet and a researcher, I have long grappled with a paradox. How can we train AI systems to interpret poetry when poetry resists containment? This work is my attempt to answer that question with the tools of topology, sheaf theory, and deep learning. Next slide. The journey involves moving through the difficulty of modeling poetic meaning. It introduces the concept of the meta-body and proposes the Poetic Ontology Dataset, POD. We'll explore sheaf theory, functorial mappings, and their integration into NLP, and we'll conclude with a vision of multimodal, meaning-aware AI for poetry. NLP excels with patterns, not with poetic rupture. Poetry defies these models. It fragments, it leaps and returns. It resonates across time and culture. It evokes presence, not just reference. These aren't bugs in poetic language, they're features. They form what I call the meta-body. The meta-body is the hidden topology of poetry, the web of motifs, metaphors, and intertextual echoes across time and space. It's the connective tissue between Dickinson and Dante, between Rumi and Rilke. In computational terms, it's not a flat sequence, but a layered, evolving structure. Most NLP models treat language as discrete. They excel at syntax, but falter when asked to hold ambiguity or metaphor. Poetic meaning isn't tokenized, it flows. Metaphors stretch right across verses. Meaning changes in translation. Flattening this into word embeddings strips away what really matters. So sheaf theory gives us a way forward. It allows local fragments, lines, stanzas, and rhythms to be linked into a global semantic structure. Just as in poetry, meaning emerges not from isolated parts, but from how they resonate together. I model each interpretive context as a local section and their synthesis as the global structure of the poem. So poetry doesn't actually flow like clock time. It bends and folds. It echoes what Bergson calls duration. Time in poetry is recursive, layered, and lived. I formalize this as a pre-sheaf over interpretive space. Each version, each draft, each reading forms a new window into time. Meaning becomes temporally fluid. Meaning also evolves across languages. Translation isn't duplication, it's transformation. Here I use category theory to track how meaning migrates, mutates, yet retains structure. The functor maps metaphor, rhythm, and cultural references across linguistic worlds, preserving what translation might otherwise dissolve. The Poetic Ontology Dataset encodes all of this. Poems, motifs, themes, cultural flows. Nodes in this data set, effectively, this model, represents fragments of poetic experience. Edges connect them through intertextual, historical, and symbolic ties. It's a semantic map of poetry's hidden anatomy, a corpus with depth, not just surface. How do we know this works? We tested sheaf-theoretic NLP embeddings trained on POD against GPT-4o assisted meta-body analyses. Todesfuge, one of the poems, sample poems, and Between Here and Infinity, as another poem, served as test beds. The models that embedded topological structure aligned more closely with the deep poetic readings. We introduced new metrics, H1 as semantic cohesion, S-trans as translation consistency, and S-flow as motif propagation to evaluate interpretive coherence. These are not just scores, they're scaffolds to hold poetic meaning intact as it moves across models and modalities. Poetry is more than words, it sings, it moves across the page. Our models now incorporate phonetic and visual embeddings. We graph sonority and layout, tracking how meter or shape contributes to meaning, whether in ghazals or concrete poems. So here, for instance, in Between Here and Infinity, you can see the shape and in the layout. It basically represents a kind of shows a fragmented layout, which actually echoes a sense of temporal disjunction, a breakup of time in it. In Todesfuge, rhythm becomes the memory of trauma. In Persian ghazals, meter holds the axis between musicality and mysticism. These aren't stylistic, they are semantic structures. We've proposed a framework where AI can begin to inhabit poetry and not solve it, where NLP can model not just what poems say, but how they evolve, transform, and persist. We offer POD, a new data set, and that offers tools. We offer tools that, like sheaves and functors and graphs, and we offer a proof of concept validation here. Next, we aim to validate multimodal embeddings, enhance generative poetry models with ontological grounding, and expand cross-linguistic mappings. Ultimately, we envisage an AI that not only analyzes, but collaborates with poets, with readers, with time itself. This project was basically shaped by both human and machine contributions. GPT-4o and Claude AI supported research and modeling, but the interpretation and synthesis remained human work. I'd like to thank Marianne Magnan for her insight and her interlocution for my other collaborators in this evolving journey. Thank you very much, and happy to take questions.